And we are live. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to Earth School Journey. Welcome back to Earth School Journey. We are in a new month, of course, March 2026. I
Yes,
right? It's amazing. Time is flying.
it is. It really is.
I am your host and peer guide, Uni, and this is my fellow co-host and excuse me, my co-host and fellow peer guide, Umi Steph. How you doing today,
No,
Umi?
I am doing well. I'm having a great day. The sun
So
is shining. It's beautiful. I feel good. Yes.
I'm so happy to hear that. That is to hear. My day is going okay. I'm pushing through some things. I'm just grateful for the awareness and just having these rituals, which we're going to be talking about this month, and these tools to really help me to stay present and grounded and really help me be my best self, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, this month we are talking about rituals, all things rituals. What are rituals? How can we lean into rituals? What are some of the rituals maybe that we've grown up with? How have they shaped us? How have they helped us? Maybe they've kind of it hindered us in some way. We're going to be taking some deep dives as usual into as we do each month. Again, this month in rituals, but and then at the end of the month, of course, we'll have some tools and some practices to help you all to really lean into adding more rituals into your life. So
Mhm.
we're so excited to have you with us. Um,
Yes.
and so we are going to get started. And I'm going to pose the first question to you, Umi. This lesson that we are working on this month is really important. It's really, I think
Mhm.
it's really key, especially as we lean into a new solar cycle, which is coming up later this month. We're going to talk about the transits a little later on in the broadcast in the show here today. Um, but we want to dive into this lesson in our homeroom check-in today by really just starting out with asking, like, what are rituals? What are rituals to you, Omi?
Oh, so when I think about rituals, you know, I think the human thought is, oh, it's just something you have to do, or I think our society has made rituals seem like something that are negative or bad, right? There's a lot of taboo around rituals. If you just think about how they describe OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, one of the questions they ask when they're screening for that is, do you have to, do things in a certain order or something? Do you have rituals in order to be able to do certain things? And they consider that obsessive compulsive. And so I think that there is like some real negative connotations. You think of rituals, people think of savages and sacrificing. And, there's so much negative, imagery around rituals that I don't think people really have a good understanding of the purpose of rituals or how what they are, what they mean. And my definition of a ritual is it's the stopping to acknowledge the divine in I guess the only word I can think that comes to mind is the ordinary, in the mundane, in the humanness, to recognize, the divinity in the ordinary, in the mundane, in the human. An example of this I can give is, they once upon a time we did rites of passage, which is a ritual, right? Rites of passage, say from childhood into adulthood. And it was I mean, now we have things like graduation and prom, but those aren't really ritualistic because they're not recognizing the divine. It's not bringing divinity in. It's just a tradition, right? It's not really a ritual. It's just something we do. And I believe the difference really is in the recognition of the divine. You know, you perform a ritual, you partake in a ritualistic ceremony. It is acknowledging the divinity in that, you know, and it may serve a purpose depending on what it is. I know that there are grief rituals. There are, you know, rituals for women who are becoming mothers. There are, you know, rituals for planting in your garden, for harvesting. You know, each culture has their own set of rituals. Cul- culture, yeah, Western culture is pretty devoid of ritual. We have lots of traditions and routines and things like that, but not ritual. We don't bring that sacredness into the activities that we are doing. So that's my definition of what a ritual is. What do you think?
I think that you have really summed it up beautifully. You know what I mean? Identifying the ways that, some of the things that we do are not really rituals, and how it like, yeah, how it's so demonized, I guess you could say, or just it's so taboo, like just like you said, the word. But to me, rituals is it helps you to be more present. It helps you to be more
Mhm.
intentional. It like roots you in the present so that
Yes.
you can be, your full self and go through different transitions in life. And even if it's just going about the transitions of your day to day life, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think you brought up a great point about rites of passage and things of that nature as far as rituals. But you know my morning coffee is like a ritual to me. You know what I mean? I put some cacao, maybe a little ginger or cinnamon. You know what I mean? Like that's like I feel really present when I do that because I am there's intention behind it. The cacao is for my heart, to
Mhm.
keep my heart present and open and keep me aware of love. The cinnamon is for just well, I'll say the ginger is for circulation and just helping me to stay active and alert. And for me, the cinnamon, I just love the taste of cinnamon in my coffee. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
to me, that's one of my daily rituals, to add a little this or that. And then sometimes there's no coffee, maybe it's just that, with some oat milk or whatever the case may be. That's a ritual to me. Anything that I do with presence and awareness and attention for a reason. I selected these particular ingredients for a reason.
Mhm.
And so me doing that on a daily basis, it's a ritual, and it helps me to stay true to myself, and it helps me to stay grounded within myself and present. And in some ways it's really healthy as well, which is one of my goals for my daily life. So I think there's just so many different ways that we can look at rituals, and I'm really excited for us to talk about that this month, from a day-to-day perspective, and then also on a grand perspective. Like
Mhm.
how do we approach these things, and what are some rituals that have been lost? Like you said, the rites of passage. I didn't, there was no rites of passage for me. Thankfully I was able to go find one, in my mid 30s, and that
Right.
helped me to, really grow into the woman that I am, and it's still helping me today. But as far as just a general ritual for like transitions in our life, a lot of that stuff has been lost. And like you said, people look at it as kind of like barbaric, and it's not. It's really not.
No.
That's a huge, huge misconception. And to think about the ways that we've kind of lost our footing and our groundedness, like maybe the rituals
Yeah.
are what
Yeah.
are what is missing.
Yeah. I think ritual really it is missing because it's what you have to stop and have intention and have awareness and have a moment of reverence for whatever it is that the ritual is honoring,
Yeah.
right? Because it is an honoring. That's another thing about ritual is that it's an honoring of a particular transition, a particular moment, a particular success, or even a failure. It's really there's so many different things that we can pull
Mhm.
ritual into, a healing, anything. So yeah, we're just such a fast um culture that we don't have time for ritual. It's got time for ritual.
We don't
Right.
have for rituals. I was thinking about this recently, just as a side note, how modern medicine is made to make you kind of like get over stuff quickly. So the NyQuil, the Tylenol, the Advil, all that stuff is to like knock stuff out quickly. But herbalism and really natural holistic living, it allows for space and time for your body to heal itself naturally without something that's going to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like cut your body's natural way to heal itself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's because like I feel like these things were made because they want you back at work, they want you back they want you back on the job. I remember doing COVID, during quarantine, even the president was like, oh, we got to get you back in the office, we got to get, and it's like, wait a minute, hold up. We're realizing that we feel healthier, we feel more grounded, we feel more in tune with ourselves and our families, with either working from home or with a hybrid situation. We're saving more money, there's less stress with the commute, all these things that
Mhm.
keep us moving quickly. And it's like, wait a minute, like maybe we need to think about this for a second. But we're not allowed that. And it's just very unfortunate that instead of kind of like rethinking the structure of our society and some of the things that we've been doing ritualistically or habitually, to feed the system, that they really were just like, no, we need to go back to what it was. And it's like, no, this is exactly why we are in this position that we were in, because we needed to rethink things. That doesn't mean we
Mhm.
go back.
Right.
So yeah, I'll hop off my soapbox for a moment and say, you know, every month in our homeroom check-in, we set an intention as well as an affirmation for the month. We would love for our viewers, our fellow classmates, to set an intention and affirmation as well. If you'd like, please put it in the chat. We're actually in the chat now. This video is pre-recorded, excuse me, so that we can be present with you all and chatting with you all. Um, but yeah, if you have an intention for rituals, or how you'd like to lean into rituals, or how you'd like to maybe you want to do some research, or whatever the case may be, please put it in the chat. And then once you do that, set an affirmation for yourself.
Mhm.
So Umi, I'm going to kick it over to you first for your intention.
Okay. I'm sorry. River's over here distracting me.
uh,
She's in here
She never
eating.
comes. Usually she's outside making a lot of noise.
Yeah, I had the door open because it was 105 in the greenhouse when I came in here. So she just walked in.
Oh, hi, River.
Okay, so my intention for this month is I intend to allow ritual to honor my divinity and my humanity. Yeah.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. Whew, that's beautiful. And so for me, my intention for the month of March is I embrace ritual as a way to be my
Mm,
true self.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I really do. Mhm.
All right. And next, the affirmation.
Okay, my affirmation is rituals transform life transitions into sacred upgrades.
Ooh, powerful. And so true. Oh my goodness. And for me, rituals allow me to build my life with steady devotion.
Mm, yeah, yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
It's the devotion. You said your word for the year was devotion. I remember you saying that. And that's such a great word, especially when it comes to this, like the rituals. It is about devotion. It's about devoting our lives to the divine, you know, and really the marrying of the sacred and the humanity. It's so, yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
thank you so much. Oh, all right. And next, we usually like to do our present check in. And, we like to pose the question to our classmates, how have you been present with creating space for rituals in your life? Either on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or through any transitions that you have in your life, please feel free to share in the chat as I pose the question to you, Umi. How have you present with creating space for rituals in your life?
Um, I do have some rituals, that we talk about new moon rituals all the time and moon rituals. Those are pretty big in my life. I can't say that I do them with a whole lot of consistency. Would like to be more consistent with them. Sometimes the new moon catches me off guard and I'm like, "Oh, it was this morning." Oh. you know. So I would like to be more intentional with my rituals. I feel like I could definitely be more intentional. And I would like to create more ritual for big things. I find I have a lot of small rituals, but I don't have a lot of big rituals. Things that I would like to do, like with my girls, with my boys, like to include them because ritual is about community. It's not just, an individual thing. We have our individual rituals, but I think they're most powerful when we do them in community. And I think that's kind of where I am at this moment, is wanting to make it not just a personal thing, to make ritual into a community thing and really um embrace and witness and understand the power of ritual in community. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's so cool. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And that's so true because when we, make it more inclusive and community based, it like everything ripples out. So as
Mhm.
you bring, embrace your children and bring them into more of your rituals and things that you're doing, and say, hey, let's do this together, for milestones and transitions and just different things in your life, what's going to happen is they're going to talk to their friends about it, and then their friends are going to talk to their friends and or their parents and their relatives and this is how we expand, because understanding that everything that we do, it does affect the people around us. We are influencing people every day, whether we
Mhm.
realize it or not. You know
Right.
what I and
Yep.
so by influencing your children in that way, what you're going to do is you're going to they're gonna again there it's just gonna ripple and spread, and so I love that. That's absolutely beautiful. That's how we create change in the world. That's how we lift the vibration, the frequency, and being more of us being intentional about that is just extremely important. So thank you so much for sharing that. um as for myself, I think I've been really trying to get rooted in my own rituals. Like you said, like I can be a little inconsistent with, some of the rituals that I have. And it can kind of depend on the things that are going on in my life. I feel like, one of the rituals, like just a personal ritual that I have is, sometimes just taking like my herbal healing baths, you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes I'll lean into them when I'm dealing with something versus doing it on a weekly or consistent basis, that which will help me to kind of like get in front of any potential issues versus trying to mitigate them on the back end, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
So I feel like for me, that's definitely been a thing. And another thing I was thinking about recently is how I used to wear my crystal bracelets and stuff, and I wore them so much that they're like stretched out. Some of them have pops, some of the, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so that was like a daily ritual that I had. I put them on my different bracelets with intention, for whatever vibe I was trying to embrace that day. And sometimes it's a placebo effect, and sometimes it's the energy is, the crystals are, they do what they do. Okay. I definitely am a believer in crystal healing. But I would wear my bracelets with intention. Every day I would put them on. I would, put them on. And I honestly feel like they kept me grounded. They kept me focused. They kept me, feeling or emitting, or, just at the frequency that I was intending to feel. And so one of the things I've been saying to myself is I need to get some more, even though I purchased a lot of them, I made quite a few of them myself, but I need to, you know, you know, re you know, and
Mhm, mhm.
start wearing them again. You know what I mean? Because I feel like they've definitely helped me during a time that was I was kind of like a little turbulent, you know what I mean, in my life. And it really got me through. And so again, just like being intentional on the front end versus on the back end is really what I'm like really trying to um really implement into my life, is like making sure that I have these things that are grounding me.
Mhm,
If
mhm,
it's my morning cacao and oat milk drink, if it's my bath at the end of the day, if it's my daily walk, or I had a ritual getting up and taking a walk every day, that helped keep me grounded as well. Just a lot of different things that I've been thinking about, and I'm really excited, and I'm really dedicated and devoted, as I said earlier, this month to sitting down and really writing down some of those rituals, just to help me be more present with myself, so that I can be more present with everyone that I come into contact with. So yeah, it's so funny because I've been, I know we had rituals on our list, but it wasn't something that I was like thinking about a couple, because
mhm.
like we were focused on stillness.
Yep.
And so I feel like the stillness kind of led me to this point, kind of like subconsciously, because I was thinking about, some of the rituals and things that I've kind of been neglecting, and some of the things I want to get back to. And this gives me an opportunity to think about some of the things that I want to, implement. Maybe there's some new things. So I'm really excited about this month, especially again with, our new solar cycle coming up. All right. So next we like to just talk about some journal prompts for the month. And Umi, I'll ask if you don't mind reading the first one.
Yeah, sure. So the first journal prompt that we have is, do I currently have any rituals, even if I've never called them that? And I love this because what came to me when we were talking about when we were in our pre-meet planning for this, was, we really need to take stock of what we already have. That's the first thing we need to do. What do we already have in our life that we do that's a ritual? Um, Whether it be morning prayers or, you know, um, anything. We probably all have a few small rituals that we do that are personal rituals. I mean, are there any communal rituals that we do within our community? So for some people, that's going to church. Some people, that's there are different things that we already have, and so I think this is great because it allows us to take stock of what's already in progress. What we already have, to see if we are, maybe you are completely devoid of ritual. Maybe you haven't been thinking about ritual at all. And then maybe if you think about it, like, are there practices that you have or things that you do that bring the divinity into the mundane? Are there things where you're honoring that, moment, that presence, that experience, with divine eyes? And then, just taking stock of those. So that's something that everybody can sit with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. When you zeroed in on this prompt, I was like, yeah, that is so important, for people to really think about is before you do anything, take stock of where you are.
Mhm.
You get present, and then you can kind of, set your intentions and your affirmations from there. So absolutely, thank you so much for that. The next one is what daily routines could become rituals with more intention.
Mm.
Yeah. It's just again, it's about the presence. It's about the again, the intention. It's about doing things with greater awareness. It's about what is going to help me, what is going to give me what I need in this moment. You know what I mean? Like I said
Mhm.
earlier, just taking a walk, every day. And if you take a walk, if you want to be more intentional, more present, more aware, look at, again, we've talked about this a lot, pay attention to the birds, the trees, just look up at the sky. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's just so many ways that you can bring more intention into your life. And I think that some of the things that we do already, we have that greater awareness, if we have that intention, we make them more ritual versus habit,
Habit. Mhm.
which is something we're going to talk about later on in the month as well, just trying to help not only ourselves but everyone else, like, really understand, like, how do you go from a habit to a ritual. Your shower, your daily shower can become a ritual with
Mhm.
more intention.
Mhm.
Maybe you have a body wash that has an essential oil, versus just a regular, or just something made with chemicals. Maybe you try to find something more natural, and now it becomes more of a ritual. Maybe you say an intention or an affirmation as you're showering, and now it becomes a ritual. A lot of people have been talking about showering in the dark. I don't know how I feel about, I've tried it, and I feel like I get a little anxious. So I'm like, maybe I'll add this ritual, and shower in the dark. But maybe that helps to calm your nervous system. Maybe that helps to help you to, if you are not able to, like, see everything that you can do, but you're able to feel into it, and you know what I mean, it just brings more.
Mhm.
you know there's so many different things that we do, that instead of becoming just mindless, kind of, you're just going with the motions sort of thing, you can bring more intention to your life. Even your daily drive to or from work, maybe you want to take the scenic route, maybe you want to see the tree, maybe there's a beautiful tree lined street, and so instead of going down the street with all the buildings and there's all the noise or whatever, maybe you take a side street, and now you've made a ritual out of your drive home from work that'll help you
Mhm.
relax, and that'll help you, when you get home to your family, you can be more present with them because you have given yourself some space to do so.
Right.
There's so many things that we can do, and I'm really excited to talk about it more this month.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love this question because it allows you to take stock, again, in where you have these habits, these routines, these things that you do on a regular basis that with just a tad bit of, awareness and presence and, honoring that drive home. That drive home can be really good. I drive home, I think everybody, oh, the rush hour traffic and all of these things, but I used to love my drive home because I could listen to the radio.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or I could listen to nothing. I could just sit in silence, you know. Now I think thinking about it this way, it allows me to really be more intentional,
Yeah.
and really acknowledge that moment and that the divinity in these little small things. Yes, we can turn everything into a ritual. It's like they say, live life like a prayer, but you can do that. And this next question, journal prompt question is, I really appreciate this because this is what I feel like is missing from our culture, just overall. And the question is, what transition in my life needs to be acknowledged? What do we need to honor? There's so much that we don't take a moment. I think just thinking back over our lives as women who have had babies, right? Did you ever honor the the maiden before she was lost? Honoring that childless woman who is no longer going to exist. She is gone. She is gone forever. You know, and in honoring that, honoring the mother that is coming, it's these transitions need to be acknowledged. Being perimenopausal right now, I'm like, there's an honoring of letting go of my fertility
Mm.
and welcoming in this era of being the crone, as they like to call it, and the wisdom that comes with this transition. So many different things that we really grieve. We don't have rituals around grief anymore. Funerals are not a ritual around grief. Funerals are a ritual around death. It's not the same thing. They are not one and the same, And so there's just so many things, so many transitions that need to be honored. I think about grief specifically is speaking to me right now because I've had, not in my family, but around me, there's been quite a few transitions. And, if you are a spouse who's losing a spouse, well, now you're transitioning into being a widow, and that's a transition and that needs to be honored, you know, and that grief and all of that processing. And I think if we stop to honor these things, if we honored our teenagers more as they graduated high school, imagine how much more motivated they would be to do more as they went into college, or if they go to trade school, or if they just go out into the workforce. It would feel like more purposeful. It would feel more intentional, that they would be able to step into adulthood with more purpose, with more understanding of why they are going through this transition, and the ritual, the ceremony around it, allowing them to feel supported and not like, oh my God, now I'm just in this all by myself. I just have to, I may have my mom, or I may have my dad, or I may have, whoever it is that they're close to support them. But there's so many transitions in life that we could really just embrace and acknowledge and honor. And so I love this question. What transition in my life needs to be acknowledged? Yeah, I really invite you all to sit with that.
Yeah, I agree. As you were talking, I was thinking about just going from like one job to another, or you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if you were somewhere for any significant amount of time, like even if maybe you didn't get a a going away party, or maybe they didn't, you know what I mean? Maybe no one saw the efforts or appreciated them, but you did, like
Mhm.
you honor yourself for all that you've given and shared, and as much as you've shown up. Like sometimes in these transitions, it's not necessarily going to be someone else honoring us, or us honoring someone else, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's, how do you do that for yourself,
Yourself.
like you said, as far as like being a mom and going from, being not having any children to having a child, you know what I mean? Like that transition. And, sometimes it's honoring that within yourself, that transition within yourself as well. Or, you know, um, giving yourself that, So yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And we hope you guys are enjoying the homeroom check-in so far. We're just really grateful for you all being here with us. And next week, we really like to talk a little bit about some of the cycles and the transits in the upcoming month, or the current month. March is a huge month for transition, a huge cycle closing, and a new cycle beginning. And I think it's extremely important for us to acknowledge that, we are, we've talked about this a few times over the past couple of months about how the Gregorian New Year is not the actual new year, you know what I mean? It's more so a way that, the system or society that we're in has, kind of like placed a marker for themselves. I look at it as like a fiscal year. You know what I mean? I look at it as like a fiscal year. And I think the real new year is this month. And so we want to talk about, some of the cycles this month, excuse me, that's going to lead us into a new solar cycle. And it's going to be really important for us to kind of pay attention to what's going on. Like right now, we have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces going on. And yes, all that right there, my head is spinning literally just like that. My head is spinning literally just like, you know so I think this month is giving us the opportunity to really take stock and review where we are, wherever this retrograde, as I remember, Umi, you remind me every time, wherever this retrograde is hitting in my chart, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where is it hitting in your chart? Figure that out, because that is the area of life that is going to, you're going to see this energy kind of like kick up and say, hey, pay attention. What are you doing? Is this what you're really supposed to be doing? Or are you supposed to be doing something else? And so we're going to start with, well, right now, again, do you have anything to say about the Mercury retrograde before we move into uh Mars?
Oh, yeah, I mean, other than I think you said it all, like, it's just been rough. It's been a rough one for me. I don't know. It's this has been I normally don't have a lot of issues with Mercury retrogrades. They don't bother me that bad, but I think this one is falling, somewhere around my 12th house, and so it's been a little deeper. It's been a little deeper. This one has been a little rougher. And it's also, kind of in a sign that it doesn't particularly like to be in. So, it's causing a little more drama than normal.
Right?
Yeah. Lots of things resurfacing that I'd rather not.
Mercury, are you the drama? Like, are you the, like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this. I feel like retrogrades don't really bother me too much either. I feel like I'm always reviewing my life. Like I'm constantly, trying to figure things out and upgrade and just trying to better myself in different ways. And so when these transits come or these retrogrades come, it just a lot of times helps me to lean in. Like I've gotten a couple times I had the rug uh pulled from under me, maybe more towards the end of a retrograde. And I've been like, dang, I thought I was, and got me, Mercury, you little trickster, you got me. Um,
Mhm.
but for the most part, I'm usually cool. Me and Mercury, we got a good relationship. You know what I mean? Like when Mercury
Mhm.
goes retrograde, usually I'm like, listen, whatever we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
but right now, I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. I mean, I have a strong, I have like strong Mercury placement. It's conjunct my midheaven, and but this Pisces being between my 11th and 12th house, I think it's currently in my 12th house. It's really digging up some of that stuff that like is very unconscious or subconscious, and it's just throwing it out in there and going, "Hey, look at me."
yeah, yeah. For me, it's Pisces is what, my fourth and fifth house. So it's definitely attacking my or challenging, I will say, my stability and my creativity,
Mhm. Mhm.
what am I comfortable with? Am I comfortable in uncomfortable environments? Am I making myself at home in uncomfortable
Mm.
environments? I've done that. I have a history of doing that, finagling and twisting and turning myself into ways that will, just make me fit in, to places that I probably shouldn't. And it's really asking me, am I going to trust in the Most High and the creativity that is been, that I've been blessed with, or am I going to continue to be in environments that make me uncomfortable? You
Mhm.
know, am I gonna be uncomfortable in someone else's space, or can I make my own space and be, maybe a little uncomfortable, but a good uncomfortable? You know what I mean? It's just a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. Um,
Mm.
I'm trying to surrender to all of it. But it's been a challenge. Been a challenge.
We will get through it.
Yes, yes, by the grace of the Most High. All right. And so I know we wanted to talk a little bit about Mars entering Pisces. It entered Pisces on the 2nd of this month. And
Mhm.
like how do you think that is affecting us like right now? Like our just overall.
Yeah, I think about Mars, I think everybody thinks about aggression, but what's coming to mind for me is motivation. What's motivating us right now? And I believe that with it being in Pisces, it's going to be more of that dreamy energy, more of that emotional energy and so we may be motivated more by our dreams and our intuition and just collectively. And then as you were saying, like where is it falling in your chart? What house are you more motivated to, what area of life are you more motivated to take action in right now? And and because it is Pisces, like, are you being guided purely by intuition, or is there some delusional fantasy in there that is guiding you? So it's something to just be aware of. um if it's intuition, lean in, lean hard. But if it's just that fantasy, then this delusional kind of subconscious energy that is running your motivations, then maybe you need to take a look at it and re-examine it so that you can be a little more intentional about it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I've been asking myself like where is my flow? You know what I mean? Just thinking about like moving intentionally like you said versus what am I like trying to push through? You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like I have this tendency to just push through, and it's like I don't want to have to put it's so much it takes so much out of you to push through,
It does.
but I have a divine flow And then once I find that and get into that, then I'll be golden. I'll be great. You know what I mean? I'll be more in tune with my true self, the most high. So thank you so much for that. And next, I did want to talk a little bit about the lunar eclipse in Virgo, because we talk about, of course, we're talking about Mercury being retrograde in Pisces. Now, Mercury rules the sign of Virgo, right?
Mhm.
Us having this lunar eclipse on yesterday, the 3rd, I don't know. I was just trying to figure out, like, how do I kind of like put that together with the, again, the eclipse being in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, and then Mercury being retrograde in Pisces. And then Pisces, and it's a full moon, of course. So Pisces is opposite Virgo. So there's like this stretch, this pull, what
Mhm.
opposition between Mercury and the moon right now. And there's like this eclipse, of course, the sun and Mercury, and then the moon, and there's like that eclipse energy. I don't know. Like, I feel like yesterday was like such a heavy day for me. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think? Do you have any kind of like thoughts on that?
So my thoughts about that. So eclipses are they are really a time to like let go of deep rooted things that have been there for a while, because they kind of connect to like the previous um eclipse, right? And so they go back. They're and with Mercury being retrograde right now, that's Mercury's when it goes retrograde, that's what it does anyway. It brings these things back. And so with the eclipse being in Virgo, and Virgo just being such a critical sign.
Right?
It's such a critical sign that it could be asking us to look at where we're being too critical,
Ooh.
self-critical, judgmental. Of course, the house it falls in is going to, for you specifically, is going to affect that. But just overall, where is this critical energy where is it being directed? Where are you overanalyzing?
Mm.
Where are you not speaking kindly to yourself? Is it deserved? It's probably not. Perfectionism, allowing that to be released, letting go of perfectionism. Um, I think that's a big part of it. I've definitely seen that in my household, being a strong Mercury, and strong Virgo placement. I feel like there's a lot of that letting go of that perfectionism, that self-critical energy for me specifically. And that retrograde in Pisces is bringing these things to the surface. It's bringing, because Pisces is that subconscious energy, that unknown, the deep rooted, deep hidden, secrets. So there's probably things that are coming up with Mercury pulling that out. Mercury being the sign that rules Virgo. I mean, the planet that rules Virgo, pulling things out from the depths and saying, "Okay, here you go. What you gonna do with it?" And so you can examine it, and because Virgo loves to examine, and let it go. Get rid of it. And so that's kind of my interpretation of this juxtaposition of the two transits right now.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Cause I was really thinking about that. And I'm just like, okay, I was thinking about the houses that it falls, and the opposition that creates. And then like of course, the eclipse being there, and just like the heaviness that I've been feeling in the areas of my life that it's coming up. And I do agree with you that there's definitely a greater opportunity for release in some things, and for me to really focus, in other areas, again, in my life, so that I can, have a new experience. I think for me, what's really coming up is like, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. And Mercury
Mm-hmm.
to me like, are you gonna do this again? And I'm like, No, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Definitely not. So thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
All right. We got about what 11 minutes. What do you think? I'll I've kind of been going down the list that we have. Is there anything that jumps out at you that you want to kind of talk about? I don't want to.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we do have Mercury Kazemi, which and it's also in Pisces, so that's gonna be and it's retrograde. So Mercury retrograde Kazemi.
I don't wear a wig no more, so I can't hold on to my wig, but I gotta find something to hold on to, because Lord have mercy. Oh my
Well, I
goodness.
mean, there should be a lot of clarity with the sun being there.
Mm,
There should be a lot of clarity because the sun is shining a light on it. So I feel like it's just gonna light it up. So really, there's probably a lot of work that we all need to do collectively because this is a collective transit. It's happening for everybody, right? Around you know this Mercury energy, this analytical messenger energy. I mean, I think it's a great time to get messages from the divine directly because I think we should all be probably spending some time in the silence as we just come out of that month. Um, really spending time in the silence because Pisces is the sign, of intuition. Like it's the divine energy. It's connection to this higher power. And so we should all probably listen to that intuition, to that inner knowing, spend some time in there and allow Mercury to deliver us the messages that we need to receive right now. So, yeah.
thank you for that. That's beautiful. I don't know if it's me, but you're a little blurry right now. I'm not sure what's going on. Do you see
I
blurry?
don't know.
Don't seem blurry.
I don't see it on my side. Mm-mm.
It's me then.
It's Mercury deciding to Mercury.
It is it like
Mercury's in Gatorade. No.
right.
Uh,
I think I up a little bit for sure. It was definitely there, but it's clear and it's cleared up a little bit now. Okay, I
mm,
just want to make sure everyone can see you.
okay.
Um. All right. Next we have what else is going on this month? We have I kind of want to I don't know. I kind of want to talk about the new moon in Pisces. Um,
Mm-hmm.
coming up on March 18th. I feel like this is a great opportunity for us to set intentions around our highest dreams. It's so funny because it's Sister Finesse, who we had on the show last year, was sharing about there's this book she's reading. I can't remember what it's called. Please forgive me. The conversations we have, like we have an outline, but it's very fluid. So I don't have that with me. I'll try to put it in the chat later on. But um she's reading this book and it was saying to write down your highest goals, your highest vision, your highest, just the highest vision for your life that you can think of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And every day, in your journaling and your gratitude work or whatever it is that you do, refine that list. And it's okay to refine it. It's okay to that it's not perfect the first time you do it, but continue to refine the highest vision for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really powerful, especially with this new moon in Pisces coming up, because while Pisces can, they say it can be delusional, it can be, so many things, but it's a high spirituality as well. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's
Yep.
very high level spirituality. And Pisces have a lot of responsibility. I won't go into that, but there's a lot of responsibility that they have because of the high level of spirituality they've been gifted with. And if they abuse it, that's a whole nother story. But for
Mhm.
us who are, we're in this energy collectively and we want to lean into it, I think that like you said, like really connecting with the most high, and getting in and sitting in silence and stillness, and maybe particularly in the very early hours of the morning, between around 3 to 6 a.m., before the sun rises or as it's rising, or something along those lines, would be really powerful. You know what I mean? I think this new moon is going to give us an opportunity to really set the highest intention for what's going to come after that. So before we
Mhm.
talk about what's going to come after that, do you have anything to add about the new moon in Pisces?
Oh, I think, just being aware of um, the Pisces energy in general. Yes, we're in Pisces season, but then we have all these transits that are happening as well that are significant that are in Pisces. I think it's a great time for really intentionally connecting and allowing spirit to speak and just being in that space. A new moon is a great time to set intentions. And like you were saying about, refining who that highest vision of yourself is, but really taking stock and sitting and listening and being open to hearing something different,
Mm-hmm.
something completely different, something you've never heard before. Just being open to that. That's what I intend to do. It's just be open to that because as all of these other things are getting stirred up during the month, by the time we get to this new moon on the 18th, you'll have a lot to work with as that new moon comes. So that's all I have. We are
Yeah.
running out of time,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, so much. Thank you for that. That's definitely a good point. And then I definitely I wanted to talk about, and we only have a few minutes to talk about, Mercury going direct into Pisces, which is, equivalent to the solar new year, when the sun enters Aries between March 20th and 2021st, which is also the spring equinox. It's a really powerful time, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I agree with you. Letting ourselves be open to something new, something different. You know what I mean? It's gonna really help us spring forward and allow us to, again, like I said earlier, just like a lot of us are living lives that I feel like are not really conducive to who we truly are, who we truly came to be. Yes, we
Hmm.
survived in the system. We barely made it. I got a couple of I still got little edges, some of them going, but I still got some of my the system ain't take all my edges, okay? Still got some left, but I think that really understanding that, there's something greater calling us.
Yes.
Something greater calling me. I don't want to. Again, I try not to speak for everybody, but there's definitely something greater calling me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I feel like Mercury going direct, and this whole spring equinox is going to be like a really important time. But first, we got to do that work leading up to it. So that's why, again, this retrograde, the eclipse, all of this stuff, the new
Hmm.
in Pisces, all of these things are giving us an opportunity to really manifest
Hmm.
more in alignment, something that feels better, something that feels good. What do you think, Umi?
Yeah, I think it is a great time to really, as especially as we get into this new like lunar cycle, this new solar cycle with the sun going into Aries in spring. We're at the beginning of a new year. We're at the beginning of springtime. This is when you start to do the work to, plant the seeds and to allow the things to grow in your life. So taking stock of what's happening really and all of the work that we're doing, this deep inner work that we're being forced to do by the the planets and the cosmos, it's forcing us to do this deep work, to just be intentional, and even, dare I say, set a ritual around this new year that's coming, and how you're going to kick it off differently this year. Are you going to go into this new year, this new season, with intention and reverence? you know that's
Yes.
it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I am. I am. First the opposite. And I was like, no, no, no. Then when you finished, I should have let you finish. Yes, yes, yes. I'm definitely gonna do that. All right. So to close out, we like to just share our sacred announcements. So coming up this month, next week on March 12th, we're going to talk about rituals, a little more in depth. March 19th, we're going to do our deep dive into rituals. And on March 26th is going to be our study hall on rituals, where we'll share practical tips and tools and strategies and, things that you can do to add rituals or incorporate rituals into your life on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, or with major transitions in your life. I'm really
Mhm.
excited for that. All right. We want to thank you all so, so, so much for joining us this month. It has definitely been a powerful just time. This is a powerful time. There's just so much going on right now. The curriculum that is giving us is it's just been profound. But the one thing that I'm trying to really lean into is something that we've been exploring about, love being the ultimate lesson. You know what I mean? Doing all these things with love, keeping love at the center
Mhm.
of it, and I feel like I've definitely had some challenges with that. And so I'm so grateful for the work that we're doing, because it keeps me grounded and remembering of that, that work. Any
Yeah.
closing words from you, Umi?
Just thank you, thank you, thank you, all classmates. We appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us, for your participation in the chat, for watching even after we, premiere. Um, that's really what's on my heart right now. It's just gratitude.
Thank you so much. Well, this has been Earth School Journey, where life is the curriculum and experience is the teacher. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.